So tell me what you've been up to since the last time I would have seen you was the CCMAs last fall.
Are we doing the interview right now?
Yeah, is that okay? The video is really nice here. I like the colors in your kitchen.
Perfect.
Yeah, those colors are beautiful.
That's so funny. I'm doing an interview while I'm making coffee.
I like it. I think it's cool.
Okay, so what was the question? What have I been up to since CCMA?
Yeah, because I saw you last at the CCMAs, and I've seen lots of stuff on your social networking. You've been, I think, to Nashville since then. You took a little trip to New York since then. You did some big Arctic tour. I saw all this stuff going on social networking.
Yes, let's see. CCMAs was September.
And you were in the New Artist Showcase there.
Baby.
Oh, cute! Now I've seen this kitty in pictures on your Facebook.
She's got a little M on her forehead. Right now, show your M.
Is that for Marshall or M&M's?
I don't know. She's born with it. I'm pretty sure it's M&M's.
That is cute. And what's her name?
Nala.
Nala. So are you kind of you seem to have such a cozy little life there, Marshall, with Nella and your little spot and everything there that you need. Do you kind of like, I mean, for somebody like you, you're out in the spotlight a lot. I mean, you're up on stage and you tour and do all these great things out there. Is this really important to you to have this nice, small little spot where you can just be by yourself and do your own thing?
Yeah, it's a quiet, I live in a quiet building. When I first moved here, it was mostly retired people lived in here. I was the youngest person that lived in the building. Now there's a couple of kids that live in here, but I was the only, person under 30 that lived here. And it was funny because as a nighttime musician and as a guy that's always performing, I really didn't want to go and live downtown Toronto, in the hustle and the bustle. I live out here on the water, just because this place here, it's quiet. When I finish up all the hectic, events, sometimes weeks at a time, it's nice just to come here. It's peaceful. I got all the things I need. I actually have two kitties. I have Nell and I have Simon, and I got my pianos here. I got my guitars here. I can kind of just chill out.
Yeah, you got your music. So how often do you take certain set times every day when you sit down and work on your music, or is it just whenever the inspiration strikes you to sit down and work on it?
There's no set time. I do play every day, and if I'm not gigging, it's not I have no shows, so I'll just kind of randomly throughout the day end up at the piano. And a lot of times during the daytimes, unless I have to work on specific pieces of music, my kind of casual playing time at home, especially right now, is taking all the new songs I wrote in Nashville back in February, and I play piano versions of them. I mean, most of them are written on guitar, and that's how I'll perform them when I go live. But to really kind of work them out and feel out where the soul is in the song, I'll sit at the piano and just play the tunes. Usually a lot slower, even just to kind of get into the vibe of the song. And that just kind of happens randomly throughout the day. I mean, sometimes several times a day I'll sit at the piano, But there's no real set time. I mean, I sang last night for hours, so I usually don't do a lot of singing during the day.
Do you ever play piano on stage? I know you always have your guitar, but I didn't realize piano was something you did much of either.
Play piano on stage. Usually when we do our hour-and-a-half show, like a concert-style show, usually about halfway through the show, the band leaves and leaves me up on stage by myself with the piano. And I'll do like "Wasn't It Something" or "Sorry About the Mess." Just acoustic piano version of it. Sometimes I'll just play something that's a new tune that I'm working on. So yeah, I like to play the piano. I've been playing it longer than I've been playing guitar, but that doesn't say anything because I'm better at guitar than I am at piano.
Now, are you still breaking guitar strings? Because you were kind of in a snap last summer where you were doing a lot of that. Is that still happening?
I have two things. One, I was fortunate enough. I've changed my string brand. I'm like the poster child for the new innovation of strings. Martin String Company has, I'm lucky, they supply me with all kinds of really, like, boxes of strings. So it doesn't cost me hundreds of dollars a month anymore because it, costs a lot of money every time you break strings. Actually, you have to get into a new pack anyways. I mean, sometimes you have little single strings you can replace. But Martin has come out with this new string that instead of having this really cool, like a polyurethane coating over top of the string, which, I mean, a lot of the string companies have this new string that has a coating on it so they last longer and stuff. But, I mean, they're like $20 a package, and I break them just the same. They've come up with a new one where they've actually infused the metal with this coating. So it's not just a coating on the outside of a string, it's in the metal. So I was offered those strings to try them out and see how they are as a test market thing, and they're great. I don't break them at all.
Nice.
I can still break them. I'm a bit of a tree chopper. I can still, snap them, but I've also changed my technique on my right hand a little bit just so that it, I don't know. I was playing them pretty hard there for a while, and I don't mind breaking strings, and it's kind of fun. And
I think it's fun for the audience too. And any of the video footage I saw when you did break a string, it added a really neat live, intimate element, I thought, to the show.
Yeah, a couple of nights ago, was it Tuesday night? Yeah, I think it was Tuesday night, and I snapped one, and it was actually kind of like, wow. You haven't seen this in a while. And I was still like, wow, okay, it took me almost, 60 seconds to change it while singing. Normally it takes me about 40, so I'm getting slow.
You're getting old, I guess.
Yeah.
So in Nashville, tell me about that experience. Obviously you went there to do some writing. What was it like down there, and what did you do, and maybe who did you work with?
I think this was my most productive trip yet. It's my first time going down for 2 weeks. I normally just go down, I can normally only afford to go down for about 6 days at a time. And this time, because of, and we can segue into this later, but there's a new possible management deal on the table. And that's kind of increasing the amount of songs they need to have written and the timeline in which they're due. So this time in Nashville, it was funny. I went down, I had a lot of emotional stresses were going on in my head as I was preparing to go to Nashville. And as a songwriter, I mean, there's many times when you just write songs, before you get into the business of writing songs, when you just write songs for yourself, you write them when you're emotional. You write them when you're feeling. A lot of times when you hurt, that's when you sit down and you write a song. And so my first day in Nashville, my first writing session, I was so overwhelmed with all these emotions. And the guy I was writing with is such a big-hearted Jason Matthews. He's such a big-hearted, passionate, speaks right from the guts of the heart kind of guy. I mean, I've never seen him play a fast song. It's always these little bit slower, heart-wrenching tunes. He wrote "Get to Where I'm Going" on my album, and so I sat in with him, and it was just an emotional floodfest. And at the end of that session, I had to say to myself, "That's it. All the emotional stuff, take, and you got to find a different way to channel it." And so for the next, for every session after that, it was all about up-tempo, make girls smile kind of songs. And I wanted something that, if my mama's happy, the rest of the world's happy kind of thing.
Yeah.
She can be happy with the cutesy love and alcohol as well. So it wasn't saying there has to be love songs. Just had to be smiling songs that make you smile. And so throughout that week, I wrote with Bruce Wallace, Marty Dodson, this guy named Steve Pash, who wrote, excuse me, he wrote "Stand By Your Woman" for Lenny Kravitz.
Nice.
Yeah, and I got into all these sessions with just such determination to have the best come out of me and draw the best out of these great writers so that they are excited about writing with me again. And this trip, I nailed at least, I came home with 8 new written songs. 8, I think 9 new written. And there is at least 3 on there that I'm overjoyed about. I like them all, but, I'm looking for smash songs that really are going to be a signature for me. And so I was excited. I wrote with a girl named Rebecca Lynn Howard. And I don't know if you ever heard of Rebecca Lynn, but Rebecca
No, but I like her first name. It works for me.
Rebecca. Yeah, my oldest sister's name is Rebecca.
Nice.
I love that name too. It's beautiful. Very biblical name. And Rebecca Lynn, I walked into that session an hour and a half before they were expecting me. So I was told to be there at 10:30. She thought I was supposed to be there at noon. She shows up with her eyes. She's like, is somebody knocking at my door? And she's squinting her eyes, and she's got her jogging pants, and her little puppy's not even awake yet. I mean, he's not even answering the door. And she, she says, can you come back in an hour and a half? And so I came back in, and I mean, this is my first time meeting this girl. And so you're still sizing each other up. Every new session, every new artist you're writing with.
Yeah.
And within minutes, within seconds, you feel a vibe. And I love writing with women like Caroline Dawn Johnson. I've written with her before because the female perspective is so different than the male perspective.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Even on simple things where, there's two guys like two guys plus Rebecca in the room, and we'll say, hey, is this, I want to write a nice line, when you're talking to a girl at a bar, and this is what I'd say. She goes, girls don't want to hear that. I'm like, what? Isn't that how you say it? She goes, not like that. It would be much better if you said it more like this. And we're like, oh, yeah, that sounds great.
And that's how you can get a home run in a song with that appeals to women, even though you're a male, because you've got somebody like Rebecca in there working on it with you.
Such a strong perspective. Yeah. And, I mean, obviously, not only just an accomplished writer, and then she's got this gorgeous voice, and she starts singing, and the opening line is, pardon me, but I've never seen a girl more beautiful.
Nice.
And having her in the room just made it right. Yeah.
So will a duet come out of that with Rebecca? I mean, is that the kind of stuff that happens from these sessions? I mean, what happens next from all the stuff you brought back with you from Nashville?
Well, we actually ended up recording a little version of it while we were there, just basic acoustic guitars and vocals, and she did do the harmony vocals, and I mean, the harmony vocals come in basically at the pre-chorus and the chorus, and it sounds awesome with her voice. So, I mean, I can hear a duet out of it. I think I might have made a little gesture towards that. I was talking to the lead singer of the Cranberries the other day.
Cool.
And that same suggestion, I was just like, wouldn't happen to want to do any singing on my record, would you? Imagine Dolores O'Riordan and her voice. Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, I can totally see that. I would like to do some experimenting with that on this next record.
So how much control does the artist have over those things, Marshall? I mean, can you sit in a room with other artists and just say, hey, we should do a duet. Yeah, let's do it. Or are there sometimes managers who are jumping in and saying, no, for whatever reason this can't happen? I mean, are you, as the artist, able to make those decisions on your own?
I think in general, there's always, I mean, especially when you start getting into the business level of it, you have to include a few people in your process because there's a few people that are involved in making decisions, and I'd be a fool to think that I always have the best idea. I mean, I think from experience, always going by instinct isn't the best idea. That's the difference between boys and girls, maybe. But in this case, I mean, in my specific case, I have, especially with this new company I'm working with. I was speaking to them just the other day, and they made it very clear. They're like, Marshall, you're in charge of the creative. That's not what we're here to. We have ears, but we are interested in you because of what you're building. So, in that regard, I'm very fortunate that having waited and waited and waited patiently for the right kind of team to be built around me, I've ended up here with a team that, it looks like we're going to end up working together, that is saying what every artist always wants to be told. You have the creative control. Most artists are afraid of somebody coming along and saying, manager says, no, you can't do that, and you can't do this, and that's not going to work. But in my case, it's they've actually handed me that baton and said, hey, you do what you do.
Yeah. So how did you find them, or how did they find you? Had you been searching around for the right people, or did you just kind of stumble upon these guys while you were out maybe singing in one of these, hey, you're Marshall and we want you with us? One of those great...
I wish it was kind of like that. Okay, so I've been asking around Canada. I've been doing as much promotion of myself here in Canada, hoping that the big dogs of the industry would pay attention and would like what they see and would walk up to me and knock on my door and say, hey, Marshall, we've been watching you and we want to hop on board with what you're doing, or help you, or we think we can make money off you, whatever they want to come at me with.
Yeah.
And again, the patience involved in trying to wait for that, because it's so difficult. There's so many times when I look at my producer, Brian Allen, and I'm like, I just want it now. And he's like, just wait. If you build it, let them see the fire. When they see the fire and the smoke, they'll come to you. And I'm like, but they're not coming to me yet. Where are these people? And so you have to maintain a real level of diligence, I guess, so that not to stop, but only get better or try harder while you're waiting. And so, of course, nobody's knocking on my door. Nobody's doing anything. One day I'm going for a walk. I just got back from Prince Edward Island.
Yay.
That was Cavendish. I guess I saw you back on the Rowdy Boys in March.
Yeah. No, I saw you at Cavendish too in the summer.
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
I see you everywhere.
You're all over the place. So I went to Cavendish, then I went to Nashville, then I went to the Arctic. I've been gone for like 6 weeks. I'm going for a walk. I've just been home for one day. I was going for a walk in the park just outside my apartment here, and a guy in a black SUV pulls up, turns around, rolls down his window and says, "Marshall Dane?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm not stalking you. My mom actually lives in this building." I'm like, "That's my building." And he goes, "I saw you maybe about 2 months ago." He says, "You were playing at the Rockin' Docks up here in my hometown here." And so he gets out of his car. This is a long story, not really. He says, do you have a business card on you or something?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm going for a walk in the park. I have nothing on me except for a pile of business cards. I don't leave home without them. It's all about the business."
Perfect.
So I hand him my card, and he goes, "Listen," he says, "I caught you at the show. I saw a song and a half," he said, "and my best friend manages the Cranberries, and we were in there, and he wants to talk to you. He says he's going to call you tomorrow at noon." And I thought, yeah, he's going to call me tomorrow at noon. Everybody says they're going to call. And how could he say that another guy's going to call me at noon? Well, the next day at noon, I got a phone call. Then the guy, when I was talking to him, he said, we talked for a little bit. And then he says, this other guy from New York is going to call you on Tuesday. What's a good time, 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock? And I'm like, earlier in the day, the better. Let's go 1 o'clock. Sure enough, the next Tuesday at 1 o'clock, this guy from New York calls. And it's part of a management company that deals with a lot of big artists, international artists, not little guys like me. And we just started talking. I mean, basically the conversation went, my one partner saw you for about 7 minutes on stage one night, and he called me right away. And so that was the Cranberries manager. They called to New York, and they said, we've got a guy up here we want to start working with. We think we can do something. And because of that it was 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was giving it everything I had. I've been playing at that bar a long time, and I always try and tell other younger artists, I'm like, you can't go to a show and not remember that there could be that person in the audience. So you have to give it every time, and it's not easy. 3 hours a night, 5, 6 nights a week, years and years and years later. But that's the job you have to do if you want to take advantage of the opportunity when it shows itself.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I had no idea they were in the room. And I was giving it like it was the last day on earth. And they said, we've been following you online for the last 6 weeks while you were out of town, and we were looking to get a hold of you. And it basically came down to, they liked the work ethic, and they liked that I was kind of doing it on my own. And I said I basically have a staff of like 8,000 friends that don't get paid that help me do it. But that's kind of the long version of how they ended up finding me and me finding them. If I went and knocked on their door in New York, they wouldn't give me the time of day. But they saw me performing live, and that's again our sure what you do live is strong enough.
Yeah. So you do have an exciting discovery story. You said, "Oh, I wish it was as exciting as that." That is exciting, though.
Yeah, it is good.
Yeah, like I'm excited for you.